Okay, let's do this. This is homework for chapter 5, number 5. All right, so we are going to be on number 86. We're going to be trying to figure out if the following sequence is arithmetic, geometric, or neither. And for the arithmetic and geometric, identify the growth pattern. Basically, how much is it growing by? All right, so number 1, um, so let's say from 12 to 144. Okay, that looks like it's multiplied by 12 because I know my 12 times 12 is 144. Now, I know that's times 12, but is it the same for 144 to 1700 and or 1728, right? So is that also times 12, right? So let's use a calculator and see if that's true. So we have 12 times 12, right, which is 144. 144 times 12, and that does make 1728, which is the same thing. So we know that this one is a geometric, okay, sequence, and it has a growth of 12 or times 12. So because it's geometric, we can call it the multiplier, or we can call it R, which is the common difference. And then we're going to say R, where multiplier equals 12. And that's all it is. Okay, number 2. And so it looks like if you're looking at this, you haven't done it yet, go ahead and take a minute to do it. But it looks like I'm adding 5. So plus 5 plus 5. And it works for all of these. So I know that this is going to be an arithmetic with a growth of plus 5, and if it's arithmetic, we use the letter D for the common, or for the some common difference. D equals 5. Sorry, and then the R would be common ratio. Okay, so this one right here looks like I am. Let's see. So 0. It looks like it's not times, right? Because 0 plus 4 is 4, but plus 4 would be 8, so that doesn't work. If I go times, that doesn't work also. So it looks like we're adding 4. Let's see. Right, and then the next one, 4 to 16. We're adding 12. Hmm. 16 to 36. We're adding 20. Right. So it's not multiplying by the same thing, and it's not adding by the same thing. Um, so this one's going to be adding by different amounts. And there looks like to be a pattern from 4 to 12 to 20. But it's not the same thing that we're adding. So this one, we will say that this one is neither. Because it's neither, we don't do an R, or we don't do a D. Okay. Okay. From 1.5 to 2.25, looks like we're adding. Looks like we're going to be adding something which may work or may not. Let's see. So what am I doing here, right? So let's like jump here. So you can use your calculator, and you can go 2.25. Uh, you subtract 1.5. So that tells you that you're actually adding 75, or point 0.75. And let's see if that's the same thing. So 2.25, am I adding 0.75? So we can take a look at that again. So 2.25 plus 0.75, does that work? That comes out just to be 3. So that's not adding the same thing. So let's see if that's dividing by the same thing. Right, so we'll start with, so the way you do this is you kind of work backwards. You just divide 2.25 by 1.5. Let's try that. 2.25 divided by 1.5. Looks like 1.5. So in this case, if I'm doing this, looks like 1.5 times 1.5 gives you 2.25. And let's see if it's the same thing. 2.25 times 1.5. Let's see if that gives you 3.375. So 1.5. Okay, so we go 1.5 times 1.5, and that gets you 2.25. And take 2.25 times it by 1.5. That gets you, 3.75. Let's try one time. times it by 1.5, and that should give you the 5.0625. Yep, so that means that I found the pattern, which is multiply it by 1.5. And because this is multiplication, this is going to be an geometric with a r, because it's geometric. This is the multiplier, which is 1.5. You don't need to say times, because as soon as you say geometric, or as soon as you say r, it automatically means multiplication. Okay. All right, this one right here. So it looks like I'm multiplying it by 5. So if you haven't examined it, looks like I'm multiplying it by 5. So negative 1 times 5 is negative 5. Negative 5 times 5 is negative 25. And negative 25 times 5 is negative 1.25. So, yep. So this one is also going to be geometric. And your multiplier, or your R, common ratio, is going to be just 5. Okay. And lastly, we have from 2 to negative 4. I think it's multiplied by negative 2. And then, so multiplication by negative 2. And then negative 4 to 8 looks like it's multiplied by negative 2 as well. And negative 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. So I know that this one is going to be a geometric because it's multiplication. And this is a r equals negative 2, meaning that I'm going to multiply by negative 2 to get my common ratio. All right. Okay, and the next one is write the first 5 terms of each recursively defined sequence. Right, so the first one, we know that the first term is negative 3. Okay, you can write it like that, or you can write it in the table. I'm going to go ahead and write it as a sequence. So first term is negative 3, comma. Okay, so if I want the second term, right, to get 2 here, I'm going to have to put a 1 here, because now 1 plus 1 would be 2. And because I put a 1 for n, I have to put a 1 for n. So to get the next term, so this right here, let me write this down. This would be t, 1 plus 1 is 2, is equal to negative 2 times, and t1 is actually up here, t1 is negative 3. So it'll be negative 2 times negative 3, which will give you positive 6. Okay. And basically just understanding that the common ratio is going to be that negative 2, so meaning that I'm just multiplying it by negative 2 each time. Okay, so that means that I don't actually have to do much, because I know my next term. It'd be 6 times negative 2. Okay, so the next one is 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. The next one is times negative 2 as well. So negative 12 times negative 2 is 24. Okay, and then times it by negative 2. Negative 24 times, 24 times negative 2 is negative 48. Okay, because all I'm doing is taking each of these times the negative 2, and I'm just multiplying it to get the next one. Right? 24 times negative 2 is negative 48. Okay, and that's 5 terms. All right, this one right here, my first term is 8. Yeah, let's see what my second term is. And I can already kind of tell, but anyway, in order to get a second term, I have to put a 1 here. That means I have to put a 1 here, because now I will have t of 1 plus 1 is 2. That's my second term. And t of 1, right here, we see up here is 8 minus 5. So my next term is 8 minus 5 is 3. So I know that between here and here, and I'm subtracting 5, and it matches with this. Okay, so then I know that my next term and next term and next term is going to be found by doing a repeated subtraction of 5. So I'll subtract 5, subtract 5, subtract 5. So my next term, 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Negative 2 minus 5 will give you negative 7. And negative 7 minus 5 will give you 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Negative 12. Okay? Alright, hope that helps.